Hi friends, I just recorded a video of me drawing this one and coloring it in, but sometime in the middle of it, my camera stopped because it was full. I didn't have room to record anymore, so I cleaned off my phone, and I'm going to do another quick tutorial. But basically, I'm going to write and watercolor so you can see my process of what I do in my scriptures. So every year, my church studies a new set of scriptures. We do the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ, and the Doctrine and Covenants. This year we're doing the Doctrine and Covenants, which is church history and revelations. It's pretty interesting. I've been enjoying studying it. So today I'm going to just pick a small little scripture and write in my scriptures. This set of scriptures is by Line Upon Line. They sell journal scriptures and study scriptures and journaling scriptures. And this is a Doctrine and Covenants. It's small. You can see, here's my hand on it. But they're nice, bound, covered spiral. So it's really easy to flip through the pages and write notes. There's plenty of room in the columns to write notes, or what I like to do, doodle in it. Some people like to use stickers or ephemera or paints or all kinds of things in their scriptures, and there's multiple companies out there that sell product to do it. I personally like to keep my scriptures pretty flat. I will put, this is a sticker, occasionally a sticker, and I will link in my notes where I get these. I'm trying to remember, a Lively Hope, I think is the company, but I'll put that also. But she has little drawings that she's made that you can print if you want. I printed mine on clear sticker paper and have cut and added a few. This is one of my drawings here. But over here, I'm just going to write some of my lettering and watercolor for you today. So in this section, I'm going to pick verse 26 that says, "Treasure up your heart." Make sure my camera's got all this in here. This pen that I'm using is the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen S. S is the fine point. I like using really fine point pens. Get my reading glasses on here so that I can see what I'm doing. My lettering never looks the same. I mean, it's really similar, but it's hard to just do it exact every single time. I've been doodling and lettering for as long as I remember, like grade school probably, because I wanted to be an artist so bad. But, you know, everybody has their own type of art. Treasure up in... I never use pencil first. I just get writing. Some people, if you're not quite comfortable, you can use pencil. It's not uncommon. I prefer just getting it done. And I am not by any means perfect. I make lots of mistakes. And I don't talk a lot when I'm doing this because number one, I talk slow as I'm writing because I write slow. And because it kind of disrupts my thinking as I'm doing it, I already make plenty of mistakes when I'm doing lettering, because I tend to look at each individual letter in my word. And so it's pretty common for me to miss a letter in a word because I'm not paying attention till I'm done. And then I realize that I missed an E or a or a something, which can be frustrating, but it is what it is. If I used a pencil first, that would be probably highly unlikely that you would see errors that I do, because I could erase it and fix before using the pen. But I like to just get it done and move on to something else, because I have so many things I like to do that I don't spend a lot of time on my projects. If I'm making a custom project for somebody, whether it's a lettering, something for like a coloring page they want, or a framed print, or sometimes I make custom cards, or I'll make custom toll painted items where I cut out wood and make things, or whatever I'm making, I'm a lot pickier than stuff that I keep myself. Although I'm still pretty picky about what I make for myself, I'm not as picky as if it's a custom product that I've sold or given as a gift to somebody else. Treasure up in your heart until the time which is in my wisdom that you shall go forth. What does that mean? Treasure up in your heart. That's pretty powerful. Treasure up in your heart. I'm going to do a little heart here because I love hearts, and the scripture is talking about hearts. Oh, my phone. I have a smartphone and it's giving me text reminders over here. It's on the charger and I'm not wearing it, so it seems to be extra loud today. So I just go back over all the letters and do a few more details so that it stands out just a little bit more. I also like to add, all my little speckles and dots. For some reason, it just doesn't look finished without them. For me, myself, when I'm creating things. I think down here I'm going to make also do a flower down here. See if this works out. I hold my pen loose because I like the jaggedy doodle look. So I'm going to make see how this works out. Some little heart-shaped sort of petals. Doodling is the easiest thing on earth because it's so unperfect. You don't have to have a steady hand. You don't have to have perfect measurements. It's just its own little bit of art form. Again, on my doodles, I like to go over them again. See how much better it looks when I go over it a second time. It's darker, a little more crisp, a little more doodly. Back again. My camera stopped again. I'm not sure what's going on. It's only recording 10 minutes, so there's something in the setting that I need to try to find and fix. But when my camera stopped, I finished drawing this little flower. Went over that, and I'm getting ready to watercolor now. And what I like to use, I'm going to use this one. It's Pastel Dreams by Prima Marketing. It's just a small little tin, pan colors, and they're in here like this. See those colors? And I'm going to use this water brush. I don't use these very often. I prefer just a brush and water, but I'm going to use this one to show you that this little barrel at the end is a reservoir that you fill full of water, and then you just squeeze the water onto the paint. It drops onto what you're using. So let's get started. So I gotta plug this in. Hopefully you can hear me better with that plugged in. So I don't like to get my watercolors super wet. We don't want a ton of water on this paper. So it's not normal watercolor paper. It's just a heavier book paper. But it does pretty good. It doesn't bleed through. Well, it's hard to say, but it doesn't bleed through. You can kind of see a shadow, but it doesn't really bleed through much. I don't really have a red in this set, so I'm just using this pink. It's called Crimson. A darker red pink. And I just kind of dab it on and let it flow around so that it's not super wet. This watercolor tends to be kind of chalky. I don't use it a lot, and once I started using it, I just forgot that it was so chalky. So you have to I still got a little pink on my brush, see that? You just have to kind of be careful because of the chalkiness, it can cover the black. So but it dries pretty translucent, I think. We'll see. I did it on my other one. This color's pretty light here. I could have used a different color of pink maybe. I've got this little piece of scratch paper here I'm rubbing my brush on, sitting by me to clean it off a little bit. So down here I'm going to use, there's two colors of pink in here. There's this lemonade color, and then there's this rose color. So I might start with lemonade. I got a pretty, see that water? I've got a pretty good water bubble going on that, so it's pretty wet. And I don't want my brush that wet, so it's almost like a nudie skin color. Like my skin, I kind of have a pinkish. It depends, because I've always, my entire life, been a sun girl, meaning I love being out in the sun, and my skin has always tanned really well. Even though I'm fair complected, I can still tan really well, which I got from my dad. He was darker complexion. As I get older, as my hair is graying and I'm protecting my skin and using lots of sunscreen, my skin is more, it's not as brown toned, it's more pink toned. And pink colors and pink makeup, etc., look better on me now now that I'm getting more of that silver tones of hair. My more neutral tones don't look as good. It's weird how that, just your hair colors and skin colors really make a difference on what our skin looks like. So what I did is I took some of this lighter green and added a little bit of this citrus color to it. and mixed up kind of this lemony lime green tone for leaves. As if it's going to work here. Because this color palette doesn't have like a really good leafy green. It's more of a seafoamy colored green. So by adding a little bit of that citrusy, yellowy orange in it, it lightened up, made it more, a little more leafy colored. So I'm coloring that in. And now I'm going to add a little bit of this darker crimson. Or wait, I don't want crimson. I'm going to add a little more of this rose color into this. Maybe a little here at the bottom. Kind of a shady. At the base of these little petals. Just so that it adds just a little bit of more color. I don't know if you can tell on camera how it's adding just a little bit more color in there at the base of the petal. And I think I'll add a little here in the middle too. Just a little bit darker pink. So now what do we want? I'm going to use, for the center, I think I'll use some of the citrus here again. Right here around the middle. And this is called chocolate brown, and it's kind of an orangey light brown color, which goes good with that citrusy middle. How is that? So let me get a little bit more of this green I mixed down here and do the stem. One thing about using watercolors on this type of paper, you have to really be careful because it can start peeling up, if that makes sense. It gets that peely, the paper kind of shreds a little. What's the proper terminology for that? But you get what I'm saying. You don't want to scrub it and dissolve the paper, because paper, when it gets wet, dissolves. Not a special good fan of this that much. Might add a tiny bit of yellow to that, so that it pops out a little bit. This is that citrusy yellow. It's not super orange, but it's got just enough of that orange tone to the yellow that it's kind of a sunflowery. Okay, so that is done. Got my little flower going here. What do you think? So now I'm just squeezing water out of my brush to clean it. Because one thing that I also like to do is add like a blue around the edges of everything. It just kind of finishes it off. And be careful, just kind of dab it around like really quick so that you're not scrubbing the paper and smearing. This is a permanent ink, but that doesn't mean, sometimes it still smears. So I try not to scrub around it. Try not, if some of your other colors are wet, you don't want to get too close to those leaves and flower petals, because the blue will bleed into the other colors if it's still a little bit wet. This is drying pretty quick, so it's not too bad, but you can see that the blue kind of pools up in areas, which is, so it shows a little bit darker, and that's just perfect. I love it. Trying to make this quick because I'm hoping my camera doesn't stop again for some reason. It's the first time it's ever done that. I've filmed before where it's like been almost an hour and it doesn't matter, but for some reason today it is stopping and shutting off at 10 minutes. And to my knowledge, I'm not doing anything different, but my phone did recently update to a new upgrade. And when that happens, it seems like there's always other minor problems that happen. What would we do without modern technology? It changes our lives in good and bad ways. Got a little too much blue in that, but that's okay. So are you guys gonna give it a try? What do you think about the whole doodling in your Bible or scriptures or whatever you're studying? It's fun to make it pretty because we love pretty. And when you're reading through your scriptures, this is the fun stuff that you get to see. So, how's that? What do you think? Is it showing good in the camera? Scoot it over here a little bit more. You like that? So we're only this year so far in like this much of the book. So let me just kind of page through some really quick. Like some of them I haven't colored yet. They're just random little doodles. Most of them are just writing. There's another little flower. There's another little flower. I just highlight things and write a lot of things also. But when I'm going through my scriptures and I see these, it just really makes me stop and say, oh, that stuck out to me. I need to read that again to see why I thought it was important. So there's just some quick pages of what I've been working on and my little notes. All these colorful little markings, I use these. I have a whole set of these. They're Staedtler Tri-Plus markers, fine liners. They have super fine. I use these a lot, not just in my scriptures. I use them in my planner. And see all these colors? I've got them in this cup here. My sister gave me this cup. See that? Lovely. It's one of my words I say all the time. Oh, isn't that just lovely? And so I keep my markers in it right here on my desk, and I love them so much. So I really think that if you like to draw and you like pretty things, you ought to try painting and drawing in your scriptures. So where is the one that I just did? It should stick out here because it's kind of wet. So there we go. Treasure up in your heart. Remember that today.